The single most important thing to team dynamics and performance is, you guessed it, trust. In this video, we're going to be talking about that exact thing, trust. How to build trust on your team. This is going to be a great video. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben Preston, author of Harness Your Butterflies and creator of the Career Accelerator program, helping professionals like you gain confidence in your career. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't been here before, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and then let's jump into the tips. The very first thing when you're building trust on teams is, number one, do the little things. Now, the little things are things like showing up on time to a meeting, doing what you say you're gonna do, remembering someone's birthday, like little things like that. So trust is built on little things at a time. So you start with picking up someone's pen, saying thank you, showing up on time to a meeting, those little things, and then eventually you start building up more trust, and eventually you have a really, really tight-knit team that you can rely on to execute projects, to help you do, kind of support you in that way. But you don't get to the point of having a high-performing team without starting on the little things first. So that's the very first tip on how to build a trusting team, or building trust within your teams, is focusing on the little things. Number two, the second thing that you want to do is own up to your mistakes. A lot of people will, if they make a mistake, they'll kind of shy away and then hope that no one noticed. But the thing that really helps when you are trying to build trust on a team is if you mess up, even if it's a little thing, if it's a big thing, definitely, but if it's a little thing that no one noticed, you might want to say, hey guys, I messed up here. It could be something as small as you misspoke or you said something incorrectly. You can correct yourself and say, hey guys, I'm so sorry, and I'm going to own up for my mistake. What that does is once you own up to your mistakes, even if it's something little, especially if it's something little, you communicate to your team that every time that you view something incorrect or something wrong, you are going to hold yourself accountable, which then allows your team to trust you more because they know that when something goes wrong, then it's your fault, that you're going to be owning up to it. And it also sends the note to them that it's okay for them to open up if they make a mistake. And that leads to my next tip. Tip number three, be vulnerable. Now, sometimes, especially if you're leading a team, you feel like you have to be always on, or you feel like you always have to be the person that has to know everything and be the best at everything on your team. Now, sometimes you are, most of the time you're not. But if you know that you're really not good at something, or if you have weaknesses that your team can cover, you want to make sure to communicate that up ahead of time. Now, when you're working on a team, let's say on a project, and you are assigned an aspect of the project that you don't feel like you're very good at, you can tell your team, say, hey guys, I'm really not very good at this. Does anyone have tips to help me? Or does anyone know a certain component that I'm missing that would allow me to do this? Or does somebody want to trade aspects of the project with me because I don't know how to do this very well? That type of thinking and that type of vulnerability will communicate to your team that you are a team and that you are reliant on each other, which again will build up that trust. Number four, identify manipulation early. Now, sometimes on teams, when people are building trust, you have a really trusting environment and everyone kind of thinks positively or optimistically about the people that they work with. Now, I would like to say that that is the case all of the time, but sometimes people take advantage of that trust and they start to manipulate it. Now, what happens when you start to manipulate is you use trust as a leverage of coming up with excuses or getting out of something to either place blame or to make someone look bad or make someone look good, depending on what the situation is. What trust manipulators will do is they will erode trust a little bit at a time until the things that they're doing become completely erratic, just objectively become something that's very inappropriate. When you're in the situation, you don't recognize it as inappropriate because they've kind of taken you down this manipulation trail to the point where you kind of trust what they're doing even though what they're doing is wrong. So that was very cryptic. What does that mean? Let me walk you through an example. Let's say you're working on a confidential project within your organization. Someone in your organization, let's say the manipulator, might tell you that doing one thing different than what you were told or doing one thing, one component of that project differently is okay because they've done it before, they know what they're doing, they've done it differently. Really what they might be doing is compromising the security of the project, either intentionally or unintentionally, and what they would do is they would continue to kind of manipulate you to get you to do what they want versus what the organization needs or what your supervisor wants, and then eventually you get to the point where you kind of trust them enough that you get far away from the team and you realize that what you're working on or the project that you're working on is no longer secure, it's no longer in line with what the executives are looking for, and it no longer benefits your organization. It does, however, benefit the individual that's been manipulating you. So if you can catch that manipulation early, then you can withdraw your trust from that individual and be a little bit more skeptical and stick with your ethics and value, which leads me to my next tip. Tip number 5, know your ethics and know your values. When you're building trust on a team, it's really important that you know what you stand for and what you believe. If you notice that when you start building trust on a team, the thing that helps the most is if you remain congruent, or if you remain consistent with the stuff that you're working on so that your team knows where your boundaries are. You tell your team that you don't like bacon, and then one day they come into your office and they see that you're eating bacon. That becomes very confusing for people, and that's kind of a silly example, but professionally speaking, that type of stuff happens all the time where people will say one thing and then they demonstrate the opposite. That type of inconsistent behavior erodes trust and it confuses people. So when you are trying to build trust on a team, either as a leader or as a team member, being consistent and knowing your values and your ethics will allow you to remain stable and consistent with what you're working on and making those around you be able to trust you because they know that you're grounded in your values and your ethics. So that's all I have. Hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments below if it was, and don't forget, while you're here, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. I have new videos every Tuesday, so I will see you there.